Welcome back to KBC News Checking. Just in case you just joined us, my name is Njue, and on this second hour, yes, it still matters politics, but something that has hit the nation when it comes to matters politics and unique is that there are so many independent candidates from the presidency to the MCAs. Well, in 2017, the number wasn't as high as in 2022 and also in the successive years. And my two guests have decided not to be affiliated with any political parties, but they want Kenyans to make an informed decision and ensure they elect them. Well, the rise of the independent candidates, let's find out more. My next guests have decided to go it solo. On my immediate left, we have Henry Gaate. Gaate is contesting for the Murang'a gubernatorial seat as an independent candidate. And on my extreme left, we have Engineer Crispus Wathimba. He is seeking the Nakuru Senatorial seat also as an independent candidate. Independent candidates, karibuni.
Thank you.
Yes, and it's quite a paradigm shift this year. As opposed to any other year. Looking at the presidency, 55, they have been narrowed down to 4. And also, okay, the IBC has not released the whole number of those seeking other seats up to the MCAs. But you guys decided we are not going to be affiliated to any political formation or even political party. Well, some may argue that you might get some financial muscle, some some policy adjustments here if you're affiliated to certain political parties. Why did you decide to go it solo?
May I say good morning to all Kenyans wherever they are, and particularly the people of Murang'a, where I intend to lead. Good morning, and I am here today to explain just why I am independent and also for you to understand me. Before this, I had a lot of a few approaches, whether I would like to join this party or that. And when I checked with the so-called Wajiko, she expressed her a lot of reservations on party politics. The reason they gave that time is that the current government, they were requested to choose 6-piece suit. And in the 6-piece suit, you found that some pieces were not matching the other. Some pieces were maybe dirty or torn. So they were very hesitant to ask me to join any party. And since then, I'm literally looking for votes from them, I listened to them. When they talked of the current Jubilee administration, they have not seen much on the ground. They have not seen anybody going to recruit them as members. When I checked with the party headships in the country, I realized we don't have party grassroots mobilization. We only have officials at Nairobi or at headquarters. The rest is almost empty shell. So what I'm trying to say is they're on the ground, as we may be made to understand, we are political parties. There has been no mobilization. And maybe you are aware that most of the political parties have interim officials, meaning they have never recruited members, they have never done elections. So it is difficult, therefore, to convince Wajiko that I want to join that party or that other party and then go to seek her vote. So on that account, I found myself being an independent candidate. When I told them that, they just clapped. In fact, they told me, they joked and said, we were waiting for you to tell us this party or that. That's why we have always been asking which party you want. And then me, I always told them, you are the party. Once you decide, once you advise me, I'll go that direction.
Okay,
so that's,
Engineer Wathimba, just as Henry here, you decided to go it solo. But looking at the two counties, Murang'a and Nakuru, they haven't produced a lot of independent candidates. And it might not be a 6-piece suit, just like the politicians are urging some of their supporters. But you will be in that ballot.
Now,
as an independent candidate.
Personally, I've had a history of being in a party. 2017, I contested for the Bahati parliamentary seat to the nomination stage. And the nomination was shambolic. It was a total mess. The candidate that won the numbers they had were not the reflection of what the ground was saying. So after 2017, I left that party and I joined That Way Alliance. And at That Way Alliance, I was responsible for coordinating affairs in Nakuru County. And during the 2019, we were pushing for what we call the Punguza Mizigo Bill. And at the height of this Punguza Mizigo Bill, when it was shut down, the government, through the handshake arrangement, was pushing for the BBI. And within Third Way Alliance, we also had some kind of disagreements, where one faction was pushing to join the BBI, while the other was saying we cannot join BBI. But the unfortunate thing with the 5 years experience that I had with political party is that they are personal property of a few people. So the party members or the aspirants have no say whatsoever. Even if you have your own ideology, that ideology cannot be a reflection of what you want to achieve. So therefore, I made a conscious decision as late last year that I will run for office in 2022, but I'll run it as an independent. Because I believe, I think Kenyans have been served to so many political parties that political parties have failed to serve any purpose. If you look at the 4 governments that we have had, Kibaki to Uhuru to, none of those governments can be identified with the political parties that took those people to power. We have NAC, we had PNU, we had TNA, URP. Most recently, we have Jubilee. Today,
so they are political vehicles.
They are vehicles.
But to be fair enough, is that these political vehicles are what people identify with, fanatical support.
Yes. I'll give you an example. Most recently, in Australia, they had what we call the fires as a result of what people are saying is climate change. And many people wanted to address this issue, but they could not find space in a political party. But the voters in Australia gave a chance to a few independent candidates who went and pushed for an agenda of addressing the issue of climate change. Today in this country, we are suffering from what we call economic challenges, corruption. But if you look at these formations, nobody is able to come authoritatively and say, when the issue of economy is a problem, it is this person, me, I'll do this. When the issue of corruption comes about, it is this person, this, I'll do this. But as an independent, if you don't have any baggage behind you, you can say, this is what I'll do about corruption, this is what I'll do about the economy. So I think Kenyans need to give chance to the person, not the party. It's time to dare with the person for a better tomorrow.
Henry, looking at political parties, they are funded by the exchequer, and we have seen political parties sponsor their candidates. We had UDA at the coast, and also in Kiambaa we had ODM. Of course, all parties, they like supporting their own candidates, and they have the financial muscle. Now, when it comes to independent candidates, you have to look for either source that money from friends, from people who identify with what your policies are. Don't you think you will be, it's better if you're in a political party when it comes to the financial muscle? Because politics, you have to spend a lot of money in politics.
Let me start by saying that political parties are all different. In fact, there are some who are purely struggling financially, just like individuals would be. However, only a few are financed by the exchequer, and because of the scenario I've just told you before, since without members, you cannot also be able to mobilize funding. So they are also like independent like me, but only with a few officials, which I said earlier. So I wouldn't really go for a party for financial support, because that is what people in Kenya have been used to, maybe, or using party euphoria to get to where you want.
But it gives an undue advantage for your opponent who will be vying on one of the political parties we have in the country.
Yes, I agree with you to that extent, but remember, where we are now, we have coalitions of political parties. Azimio is a major one, and Kenya Kwanza. But when you find yourself in that level, maybe with my fellow engineer here, maybe we are fighting for the same seat, but we come from the different parties, but we are under the same umbrella. Now, if you have one mother, say to speak, who is trying to look at 2 or 3 children, which one would be favored? that is a total confusion. Okay. And that's why I'm saying, even if the party wanted to assist the children, it would be difficult because you would not be financing him to fight me or finance me to fight him. So the fact that we are already having parties and then go to coalitions, that is making the whole thing complex, and that is what is making party politics look like a sham in Kenya. Because somebody was asking me, suppose you went to this party and then the party leader takes you to Azimio or takes you to Kenya Kwanza, and that is not your wish. What would you have done? Would you have resigned, and maybe the time have lapsed for many? So what we are doing, and this is what we are appealing to our own supporters, regardless of what we are, because that's what people have said, support us as individuals, as independent, because that way is the same that you would have supported Party A or Party B to get their leaders. You would be surprised. Some of those so-called parties would also be looking for us independence, because they can see potential in us, and there is nothing wrong for a party to affiliate with an independent and even assist them to take a seat. Because at the end of the day, what we want is good leadership, and this is what the voter has told us. They want individuals, they don't want parties.
And Engineer, does that resonate with you? Because as Henry is talking about here, is that if a leader, a party leader decides that he or she wants to take this side or this route, then, and you don't want to take that route as well, then it disadvantages you. A case in point is Kalonzo Musyoka. He had exited Azimio and left his his foot soldiers in limbo, because you find a governor and a senator, or a governor and a running mate who are from 2 different parties, including his own party. So they were like, so which route should we take? Should we follow our party leader? Does it give you more freedom to express yourself and to run your things the way they should be? Because if it's Azimio, there is a way that all the candidates in Azimio will conduct their policies. There are some things that they cannot say against any of their leaders. There is a way that you have to do your own things because you are affiliated to a certain political parties. Does it resonate to you?
So like that? The very reason why I felt uncomfortable going with a party for this seat is because there are certain aspects or certain ideas or certain agendas that political formations were following that were not resonating with me. And I felt beyond this election, whether I win or lose, I want to be able to communicate to the people of Nakuru certain things that we need to change. For example, in Nakuru, we have had a challenge where if you find a senator, he's an advisory to the governor. Yet these 2 offices, separate as they are supposed to work together, because a senator is supposed to go to Senate and make sure that as much resources as possible comes to your county, and the governor takes those resources and implements whatever projects that they have. But also the senator is supposed to check. So there is a way that we are supposed to have some kind of cordial relationship. But yet you find even people within the same political party, like the current arrangement is Jubilee, but the governor is a Jubilee person now, the senator is a UDA person. For the last 4 years, 5 years, they've never been able to work together. When the city Nakuru was being elevated to a city, the senator was disagreeing with that position. Several legislatures, all within the same party, were not speaking the same language. So for what sense does the party being affiliated to a party help? Because these people were Jubilee people, and Jubilee was saying we want Nakuru to be a city, but that members of the same Jubilee party were disagreeing at the expense of the common mwananchi, at the expense of the people of Nakuru. So for me, I want to be independent, so that if the governor comes to me and says, this is the position I want to take, I will listen to the ideas, not the party he belongs to, so that we can be able to work. At the end of the day, Wanjiku votes 6 people, the president up to the MCA. So Wanjiku just wants service. It doesn't care which party you belong to, because at the end of the day, parties don't pay bills. Yeah.
Now, gentlemen, let's look at it from a case point. This year, we have the two biggest political parties have been said, it's, of course, the Azimio and the Kenya Kwanza. There are some places, let me just use the 2017 example. There are some places, if you clinched the ODM nomination, it would have been almost a done deal. In some places, if you clinched the Jubilee party ticket, it was a done deal. And you find that you have leaders who do not even have a clue of what leadership is, but they have been voted in because Kenyans have a fanatical support for political parties. Don't you think that will work against you as an independent candidate?
To the contrary, the scenario is changing, and it's changing for the simple reason that you have said. The 6 people he has alluded to, they are elected as under one party, and it's very easy to go through when you have that kind of arrangement. But ask the people now, which is the leading party. From where I come from, Jubilee is a party which punished us. It is the party which made us, brought us this poverty. Is the party which has brought us this confusion. Is the party which has not given us that leadership that we wished for. Look, I even give an example. Sometimes even if you walk to Harambee House, His Excellency President, or even State House, would you really find a symbol of Jubilee or a flag of Jubilee there? No, because like my colleague has alluded to, we only use them as vehicles, and it's very bad to use them as vehicles. We should have ideals. We should have ideologies. And this is why we are now running away from that process of having parties which do not keep ideologies, do not implement their manifestos. Instead they leave wajiko ule wanasemanga wameachwa kwa mataa. Because tumekusukuma mpaka pale, wewe ukifika pale pate kwisha. Tunangojea mpaka the other time that the year comes for elections. So in my view, we are changing slowly to party politics. And if you go to Murang'a, for example, and if you say independent is like a party now. They are forgetting the big parties like Jubilee. They are forgetting the big parties like UDA. They are forgetting and they are saying, we want you as an individual, because they see you as their savior. They see you as the party now, in quotes. They see you as independent as a party. So in other words, the paradigm shift, you may call it so, from the grassroots is because of how parties have treated our people. And I pose you this question: how come we were told that we have over 1 million party members as opposed to the register voters register? It means there are a million plus of party members who are not voters, unless the mathematics or the arithmetic is not right. And that tells you people are going somewhere, getting names from wherever and putting them in political parties. We had a big problem when we are looking for independent people. You find a person wants to propose you, but then he finds himself or herself in a political party which he never joined. Because people go and collect names, make you join a political party which you are not aware, and then they expect you to subscribe to that party. That's why we have more members in political parties than voters. It's something that we have gone through, we have raised it with IBC and political parties, so that in future we don't have that as scenario. It's better to have a party with a very small little membership or few members than to have a party with millions of members who are never recruited.
Oh, and by the way, I see Irungo Kangata has also been cleared. I saw you, the two of you are debating in the KBC organized gubernatorial debate. And away from that, but still connected to that, politics is a game of numbers, and numbers don't lie. If we look at the independent candidates that we had in 2017, we don't expect that just number to just change overnight, because Kenyans now are looking at the individual. We don't just expect that to have like 10 independent governors or 12 or half of those, or even because all the governors sit in the 47 counties, we have independent candidates. Yes. We don't expect that to just change overnight. Doesn't that work against you, bearing in mind that Kenyans have a fanatical support for some parties?
One of the challenges I think Kenyans will face in this election is that when you take the ballot paper, you'll go looking for Azimio, you'll not find Azimio.
Why is that?
Because Azimio is a coalition party that is only fielding one person the president, who is Raila. When it comes to these other seats, governor, senator, women rep, MCA, MP, those candidates are affiliated to their respective political parties. But the wave that is carrying the whole country today is Kenya Kwanza and Azimio. So what is stuck in people's mind is the formations. But when it comes to really electing people, ticking that paper, you will have to look for the individual. Meaning, me, who is an independent, and another person who is in Jubilee or ODM, we must sell ourselves as individuals first, so that our candidates can go and look, oh, Wathimba is here, tick. Because there will be no Azimio, there will be no Kenya Kwanza. There will be just parties. A huge list of parties and names. So the issue of they have undue advantage is not there. Yes, these big political bigwigs are saying 6-piece, but 6-piece to what? You will not have an Azimio symbol for all these candidates. It's only one person who will have a symbol for Azimio. So, you know, a lot of Kenyans are not well informed about the political process. Okay? Civil education has not been done. Okay? So we as independent, we have an opportunity to sell ourselves and also educate people, so that these numbers that we have not been having, they can come to our side. So I believe we may not have all the numbers, but we'll have a big chunk. We'll erode a bit of those numbers that are owned by political parties. Because parties that like Jubilee, ODM, that have been there for a long time, that are associated with certain challenges, depending on where they are strong, will lose their supremacy to us and to other political parties.
Okay, Henry, you're contesting for a gubernatorial seat, and what I figure is that if at all it's Azimio or Kenya Kwanza, they are supporting a candidate in Murang'a County. They will have a secretariat because the governor has advisors, you know, you do A, B, C, D, just as the party or as a coalition has dictated. That, I believe, it's a wealth of knowledge, because you'll get ideas from a number of party officials. But now, you're just Henry. You're just Henry Gaate, who wants to be the governor of Murang'a County. How are you going to counter that?
Let me start by saying that as we went through that debate of...
Because I believe two heads are better than one.
Yeah, it's true, I get you. But what I did is, every meeting I went, I used to pose that question. Where Mwangi, which party do you belong to? Where Joki, which party do you belong to? Where Waithira, which party do you... And they all say they don't have a party. So first of all, we must agree that we don't have people, those Wajikos there, they don't have parties. They only follow parties because they didn't have any option. Remember, this idea of independent came recently. And when it came recently during the 2010 constitution, they have not, it is now being assimilated slowly by slowly. So the 2017, they understood it better than they do at, now they have understood it again with a slight edge, with a better margin. So in a nutshell, the people I have there who are even very good than the hard-picked party officials, they are giving better advice. Because I told you earlier, the party memberships we have, the party officials that we have are all interim. So they have been hard-picked by somebody. And he has just said these parties are people's properties. If you have a party, as big as it may be seen, it is still in Kenya perceived it to be somebody's property, and you move around with its certificate in the pocket. So what I'm saying is, I have better officials in the name of Wajiko than the so hard-picked officials. And going forward, I have a strong belief that they are giving me the right story than I would be having from even a list of intellectuals. Of course, I have my own structures, even at the lower levels and even at summit level, whereby I even have intellectuals or professionals who advise me. So on that account alone, I possibly have a better structure than would have been dictated by a party, which I can now use and to my advantage. The other one, you have first of all to look back and ask your party leader or your party boss what he thinks about it. I am not in that quagmire. I am straight and looking forward like a horse.
Engineer Wathimba, you want to dig in?
Yeah, I want to dig in.
As you dig in, I don't think perhaps it will be better when you be marshalling numbers at the Senate? Being an independent, more or less, is you will kind of take sides. And perhaps you have to take sides.
No.
That you don't feel that exactly
that are comfortable with you.
Yes.
Let me just take answer on the issue of organization on the Secretariat. I'll give you an example. When we were doing our presenting ourselves, we had I think 6 independent candidates and 4 from political parties. And I remember one of the aspirants showing up without the right paperwork. And this is a person who has come from a political party which is supposed to be organized, which is supposed to have officials to help that person prepare the right documentation. For us, most of us independent, we were just taking 20-30 minutes because we were organized. So don't associate organized political parties with being organized. They are not organized.
Okay.
Organization is an individual and the leadership. So we are coming as leaders who can organize people. For me, I had a team that I work with, and they were able to put together all my documentations so that when we went there, we were not having a problem. When it comes to running political party affairs in Senate or in Parliament, well, I'll be very honest with you. You've seen when there was a stalemate on division of revenue, and members of same parties would disagree. Jubilee people were disagreeing on how the revenue will be shared. The wheelbarrow people were on one side, the Uhuru people were on the other side. So when it reaches to representing the people who elected you, it doesn't matter about political parties. What matters is the people who took you to Parliament. So your interest is that of the county that you represent, or the constituency that you represent, or the ward that you represent. The same applies to governors, women rep, and all the other leaders. Even the president, at the end of the day, he has to look at the country, not the party that he subscribes to. So I think when it comes to marshalling numbers, obviously, if the majority party will reach out to me on an issue that I identify with, I will support. If it's an issue I don't identify with, I will not support with. And when I say identify with, does it champion the interest of Nakuru? Does it align itself with the goals and aspirations of Nakuru and the country? So in terms of numbers, it will be a negotiated process, and we will work together with people we share like minds.
Henry, he has correctly put it that if at all the ruling coalition or the other party reach out and it's something that you ascribe for, you have at least a decision to make.
Yes.
But when you're in a political parties, you just have to move with the party. Now, looking at your aspirations to be a governor, you must have looked at what has been done, what hasn't been done. You must have tasted the parties and seen, I cannot ascribe to this. I want to do things my own way. What are some of the things you intend to do differently? Because the governor that has been there has been from a political party. And other candidates, there are some other candidates who have also decided to be in a political party. But you are going it alone as an independent candidate.
Right. My approach to this is totally radical, because I know even when we make manifestos, we tend to just copy and paste. And I did watch, for example, briefly about the manifesto of Asmio last night, which looked more a replica of what I have been telling my people. But doing this differently is what I want to capture this time. I'll give you an example. The area I come from is tea and coffee, yes, which we are always told they are cash crops. And if they are cash crops, they have been there as much as we have been alive, most of us. And some of us have even benefited to go to school through some of those. However, the same way we produce coffee and took it to the factory in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and today is the same. The tea factories that were constructed in the 60s and the 70s are still the same. Now the question is, we cannot expect to do things the same way and expect different results. So mine is coming in as a radical way of saying we must change the way we do things, the way we look at our cash crops, is either we grow them or we stop them, because it doesn't add value to be telling the farmer every year, every decade, that, oh, coffee prices will improve if we do a BCD, tea prices will improve. How many times have we had this? So what I want to say is I have a radical approach in making industries as the way to go and adding value from what we have been doing. For example, coffee, you can still roast it at the lowest local level and take it as packed in small packages and taking it to bags to the so-called coffee brokers or whatever, until the same. So there's something I'm saying, that nothing will leave Murang'a unless it has been added value. And to do value addition, I will be attracting factories and manufacturing through industrialization that will make Murang'a change, even the coffee, even the macadamia nuts, even the avocado, name it. So many agricultural products which leave the boundaries of Murang'a without any added value. The farmer is just twisted by the broker or the fellows who move around collecting those produce, and then they are taken out of Murang'a without any value. We will be saying, we will pass a bylaw that will say that we cannot allow something to leave Murang'a unless there has been value addition. And the reverse will also work. We will not allow anything to enter Murang'a if we are able to produce it from there. And I think I got that also from them. There's me, I think this time they allowed, they are willing even to not to let things from outside the country enter here if we are able to make them. That will force industries also to agree to come to Murang'a. For example, we have industries in Nairobi, we have industries in the river, we have industries in Ruiru, Thika, places where industrialization or the areas for industrialization is already congested, or the input to industrialization are not there. We have the resources of water in Murang'a, we have the resources of land in Murang'a. So with this kind of change, I'll have that paradigm shift, and it will make it different the way things have been done. You know, the current Murang'a leadership, as much as we respect it, we respect them. They were doing a bit small things down there, giving mireos or dara or manure. Those are not a governor's work. The governor's work is a bit there. Try and make something that will last forever. That's something that is of posterity to these people. Okay. And this is the change I want to give to the people of Murang'a. Okay. And mainly, and I underline, it must come through industrialization. And to add to that, I am not just talking of the big industries coming from the towns I've mentioned. I'm also talking about cottage industries. And cottage industries, you can even make it in your room, in your kibuko, right. So it will be as easy as that, but we must take the necessary steps to arrive there.
Okay. Engineer Wathimba, he's riding on value addition, something that he says he has noticed that the former regime that was, of course, affiliated or ascribed to a certain political party were not able to actualize. Yours is the Senate, and you want to do something differently. That is why you didn't ascribe to any political party.
Yeah.
Now you are the senator of Nakuru, let's say.
So, three things that motivate me to run for this office and
as an independent,
yes, and depart from my predecessors.
Yes,
is number one, the issue of leadership. As I told you, Wanjiku elects 6 people, but he expects services from all of them. So when these 6 people can't work together, it's Wanjiku who loses. So for me, as elected as a senator of Nakuru, number one, I'll champion an agenda of bringing leaders together, where we can have a conversation with the governor, with the MCAs, with the elected MPs, okay? So that at the end of this conversation, the interests of Nakuru County can be championed. And one of the most important things I'll tell you about Nakuru is that out of the 47 counties, Nakuru is among the top 5 in terms of contribution to the national economy, the GDP of the country, with its own 5% share. Therefore, if Nakuru is contributing 5% to the GDP of the country, then what is it getting in return when the cake is being shared at the very top? So I want to champion an agenda where we can increase that share that we get from the national government, okay? Because it's not commensurate with what we give. In terms of the numbers that we have, in terms of votes, in terms of the economic contribution that we make to the country. So My agenda is to push for a bigger share. The current center was against that motion. For me, I want to advance it. Number two, we also have resources within Nakuru County that we don't see much benefit from. We produce over 713 megawatts of geothermal power from Nakuru County. The contribution it does to the economy is huge, but how much of the revenues generated from that power comes to Nakuru? That's an agenda that I want to champion. Because if we can get more revenues outside what the national government gives, the governor can be able to do much more. We need to stop this narrative of county governments being dependent of the national government. They also need to be self-sufficient with time. 10 years of county governments, 3,000 billion or 3 trillion spent on them. What do they have to show for it? Have they been able to increase their revenue generation capacity? Have they been able to improve systems where they can reduce leakages? So that's what the Senate should do, focus on. How can we make these county governments better? Do we introduce the issue of county revenue boards so that these county governments can be charged with the responsibility to generate revenue, and that revenue is managed properly? So that we need to look at county governments as businesses that needs to stop now being, we have sunk enough money on them. They need to start now giving some returns over the next 10, 20 years, so that the reliance on the national government can be reduced. Okay, so the issue of leadership is very important for me, so that we can be, I cannot work alone. Number two, the issue of promoting increase revenue for the county government so that it can be able to grow. And with that, we can achieve what we call a shared economic prosperity for all the people in Nakuru. And lastly, we are lucky. From 2007, we have not had any incident of violence. And I hope that even this election, peace will prevail. And that's something I'll also continue championing and being able to work in a peaceful manner with other leaders, so that Nakuru County can continue being as peaceful as it is now.
Indeed. And gentlemen, looking at political parties, they have a way or a system of doing things that, if it's a president elected on a certain political party, to the MCA, it will narrow down to that. More or less call it whipping. Is more or less they are being checked, put in check. But you guys are independent. Who will check on you? I'll start with you, Henry.
Well, in every electoral process, an elected leader is mainly accountable to the electorate. And the electorate is already represented at the various levels. The MCA, the member of National Assembly, the member of the women rep, and so forth. So that is a very, very good check in itself. However, the national government and the county governments are interdependent. So there are various institutions, even within the national government, which check what the county is doing. So it's not like you have a free hand and there is nobody who is policing you. No, in fact, you are being policed by the more important institutions rather than a political party. And a political party which has no foundation, a political party which cannot keep its manifesto or cannot keep its policies, and a political party which cannot honor its rules, it has no business even supervising a governor. It has no business supervising any of the people elected at the umbrella, because they themselves do not even have any. I started by saying they don't have even elected officials, most of them. So let's leave about the issue of political parties in terms of who checks on what the governor does. Look at the established institutions, which are very credible, some of them, that will make you perform the economic and the social aspects of your county. Once done, the political part of your being there does not matter a lot, because Wajiko is there and she's already checking on you, and she has the advantage of They have so vibrant MCAs nowadays, you know them.
Yes.
They put it to task.
It's a good thing that we have the 2010 constitution, which has quite changed.
Correct. So it's a well balanced check of system that nobody would really misbehave because there is no political party. In fact, you are better off when you are independent because you don't have to. You can actually be the mzee wa kijiji. Everybody who has problems, even those guys in various parties, when they are fighting, you can bring them together and then you can show them the way to go. The party is not the issue; is us individuals who have the problem. So on that account alone, independent is the way to go.
All right, Engineer Wathimba, I saw you nodding. You concur with what he's talking about. You don't need to be checked on party ideologies. You just need the electorate who voted you in to check on you, and the agencies that have been mandated to check on the same.
Yes. What I'll tell you is that even when political parties check their own members, it is when those members try to be of independent.
Smarter than the party.
You understand? when Isaac Mwaura, the nominated senator, decided to take a independent view of things, that's how he was checked, by being told we are kicking out of Jubilee. So there is we have not seen where parties have applied those checks and balances in a fair manner. But I believe if we can also just not put it on paper that Wanjiku can check me, we create a mechanism where Wanjiku can be able to recall an elected leader without going through very bureaucratic processes, then that is where we'll be able to institutionalize the process of accountability. Because you see right now how they have reduced the number of independent candidates because of the issues of signatures, collecting IDs. It's just ways of trying to reduce our ability to join this process as independent candidate. Imagine now for Wanjiku to remove an elected official. The law is so laborious that they cannot be able to do that. So for me as a senator is to be able to champion for a narrative where, or a process where, even Wanjiku in her own small way, she can be able to recall an elected official without going through a very bureaucratic process. And that's when now leaders will know they are not just accountable to whoever took them to parliament, if it's for example a party, but the person who voted for you. And that's the biggest check that we can all dream for. Number two, I think also the media needs to stop being biased to political parties.
That was my next question.
Yes. To stop,
since you are preempted,
stop being biased to political parties because they have muscle. We may not have the money, but we have the mindset that can change this country. An idea whose time has come cannot be stopped by even what tons of money. And I believe right now, Wanjiku is just crying for a leader. Somebody who can identify with her problems. And I don't think even all these political parties can identify. Because let me ask you, for example, you call yourself a hustler movement, but when you're arriving to our rallies, you come with 5 choppers. The money that you spend with those choppers can solve over 1,000 households' problems that evening. So how do we identify with you? I'd rather be me who has come independent without any party, without anything, but I've come with words of wisdom. I've come to challenge you, so that you can become better with words, with ideas, not money.
Okay, and because of interest of time, and the good thing is that he has brought it up, is the media, we've been bashed. Of late, we've been bashed by some section of the politicians talking about we are being biased towards some of the people. Of course, the good thing is that we haven't been mentioned as one of the institutions that have done that, because at the end of the day, we still remain a Wanjiku station, and we have to champion the interest of all Kenyans. How would you want the media to cover you guys? Because the good engineer has talked about media, we are kind of biased because we just concentrate on the big ones. In every news item, you hear of Azimio, you hear of Kenya Kwanza. In your view, have we, the media, have we been objective enough in covering independent candidates as well?
I would say 50-50 because you are different, and each media house has its own way of looking at things. And again, you know, the media houses are also spread nationally and also regionally. That aspect alone makes the operations of any media house unique in its own sense. For example, if it's a media which only broadcasts in the local language of my county,
yes,
it certainly behaves different than a media that talks of national issues. To that extent,
it's a good thing you've observed that.
Yes, it's very different. Now, it happens that media is not a monster. It's led by individuals. So you are an individual like me. We behave individually. So we have individual attributes which can actually be seen like it's the media. Just like you are told sometimes, when I become the governor, at what time will I be seen as the governor or Engineer Henry? You know, it's for you to show the way. So the media also, because we also behave differently. Just like a policeman, when does a policeman behave like a policeman or the individual? Of course, when he's in his house, he's an individual. When he's in the streets, with the coffee, he's a policeman. But we have always that problem of trying to put a divide between the individual and the institution we serve. And some of the people in the media have literally taken sides with the individuals because either they love them or they like them, or because of other considerations. That has happened. But for the purposes of what I know, because the law requires that you are not biased. The law requires that, particularly this time of politicking, that you give us equal opportunities. Yeah. Me going forward, I think this is a first step. You are doing it well. And when you came to Murang'a, you did it well. And since the Wajiko listens to you, since they believe, in fact, somebody can even cause an accident, try to rush to it, either to capture a news item or to capture a program on the TV or radio. So people believe in you. So using that trust that people have given you, please use it to, one, give them the little civic education they need. Because they need it. They don't understand. Imagine if you are faced with electing 6 people in a ballot booth, and you have only a few minutes so you know there are people in the queue, and one list of the Nini has 20 maybe MCAs. The other one, like mine, you possibly have about 8. The presidential, luckily, may have the few now that we have. MPs in some cases they are touching 20. Women reps and senators, you know, and you have to do this within a few minutes. Honestly speaking, without proper civic education, utaenda useme dabrakadabra, wherever, then you had your eyes what you might decide. Or maybe you just look at me and you like my glasses, maybe it's not you wanted, but since you have a pressure on to decide, then you make the wrong decision. So we can use this media opportunity, the media trust the Wajiko has on to give them a bit of civic education, tell them how to get a good leader, because he has said it very well. What Wajiko wants is a good leader, not necessarily a politician. In particular, for the seat I'm running into, it's a place where it's a seat that they are saying they want a leader, they want a manager. They don't want a politician, because we have been treated by politicians loud and proud. And but the unfortunate thing is we must play politics to get into the gubernatorial seat or to whichever other seat, even when your intent is good leadership.
I know that this hour was dedicated for independent candidates, but you guys have heard about Azimio la Umoja manifesto. Of course, we talk about it just in 2 or 3 minutes.
Yes.
And even Kenya Kwanza, the day that they launch theirs, we will be able to scrutinize it. You've seen it, and you have a voice as well. What do you make of it?
Well, I'll tell you, I was there yesterday when they were launching the Azimio manifesto. It's exciting. There's a lot of hard work to be put into it. And what I'm looking forward to is the first 100 days. Remember Kibaki first 100 days? They were able to define his entire presidency. So what Raila and Martha Karua, if elected, would achieve in the first 100 days will define how they will be able to achieve their 10-point agenda. It's quite ambitious, but is achievable in my own opinion, because if we can address one of the most critical things we have in this country, corruption. Because a lot of the promises that have been put there, and even the promises that I would want to Nakuru to achieve through the person who is elected as governor, is that at the bottom of all this, can we cut down on corruption? Because corruption is eroding any gains that we make, and even eroding our ability to gain more. So if we can be able to just slay this dragon called corruption in every sector of the economy, whether it's at the county level, national level, parastatals, wherever it is, we can save a lot and be able to bring those benefits to the common man and be able to lift the economy.
As we wind up, Henry,
yes,
talk to the electorate. Tell him something that he or she wouldn't be told by somebody in a political party as we wind up. You can also touch on the Azimio blueprint as well.
Thank you. Let me start from there before I talk about myself. Manifestos are very good, and I really alluded to this. And I want to say, in Kenya, we have very, very good documents. The problem has always been implementation. You see, I listened to part of it, and I said, oh, this is part of what maybe was there in Kibaki's time, or even other parties, they presented the same very, very good things in there.
Okay.
But
in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, what I'm saying is, if we can implement even part of it, is good enough.
Okay.
Now, coming to myself, I may not have told you I'm a civil engineer. In fact, I was educated just a few blocks away from here, the civil engineering block. Yeah,
I have two engineers.
Civil engineers.
Yes. Yeah, because we want to get a change. Okay. Professor Chang, that time, he was our chairman of civil engineering. The civil block is next to the police station. And he was telling us that the engineer is that person who, by way of training and experience, is able to transform the resources of nature for the benefit of mankind. Meaning that this person has a knowledge, and compared to other professions, they are also good, because if each profession is destined for something different. For example, there are those which go for services, there are those which go for development. For a gubernatorial post, which I'm going for now, an engineer fits in very well. And the civil one, for that matter, because civil means public, and that is the public who want to serve. Okay. Now, the way I want to do things, the way I would like to appeal to our people out there is to look for that, because I was told, even as professionals, we don't offer ourselves easily for political posts because we fear being smeared with mud. But some bishops told me, even if you are smeared with mud, you'll be able to clean yourself easily. Okay. So out there, I will be seeking votes, and since I am independent, I will ask for votes even from those supporting Azimio, those supporting UDA, those supporting even those guys within the umbrella, and I know we'll make a better county. Okay. My party symbol is a binoculars, which will allow me to be seeing Murang'a from wherever I am. Thank you very much.
Engineer, Malizia.
Mimi nasema, I want to congratulate the people of Nakuru for giving me the chance to be elected as a senator. And I trust that come 9th of August, they will elect me. And one of the things that they should believe in me is that once elected, I want to push for an agenda where county governments across the country can be self-sufficient, so these counties can be able to generate their own revenues and manage that revenues very well. That is my main agenda. Remember the CDF law that was brought by an engineer? I am also going to be an engineer who's going to bring a new law that will promote the growth of revenues within counties.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Engineer Crispus Wathimba, and who is seeking the Nakuru Senatorial seat, independent, and also engineer Henry Gaate, and apologies, I didn't refer to you as engineer in the first place, who will be seeking the Murang'a gubernatorial seat. And you have a good memory with some definitions. I think I've forgotten some definitions in journalism. But thank you so much for gracing the show, and thank you so much. All the best. All the best.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have come to the end of the show. Thank you so much for watching. My colleague Khalid Abdullahi is coming up next with Kurunzi Mashinani. Thank you so much for watching. Let's continue this conversation on social media.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.